On one day in the last week of August 1944, England's southeast coast bristled with anti-aircraft batteries under General Frederick Pile's command. The gunbelt, a free-fire zone along the Channel, faced Germany's V-1 pilotless aircraft. That day, gunners destroyed 82% of incoming V-2s, a record unmatched in the campaign. Dawn revealed radar screens alive. SCR-584 sets tracked targets at ranges up to 32,000 yards. Crews loaded shells with American VT proximity, Fuzes each a radio device triggering bursts within several tens of feet of a target. V-2, speeding at 400 miles per hour, shattered under precise explosions before reaching London. German intelligence, ignorant of the VT's radio principle, grappled with unexplained losses. The key metric, 82% kills in one day, eclipsed early weeks when guns downed only 17%. Batteries guided by predictors solving trajectories in seconds fired with new accuracy. Coastal skies thundered as shells burst, each detonation a product of unseen engineering. The day's success shifted momentum. London's safety grew real. The day's success shifted momentum. London's safety grew real. Yet the V-1 campaign's scope revealed a brutal struggle. From 13th June 1944, Germany unleashed pilotless V-1 aircraft against Britain, aiming to break civilian morale and cripple war production. By early September, when Allied advances overran launch sites 10,492, V-2 had been fired. Defenders tracked approximately 7,500. Fighters destroyed 1,847 guns, 1,878 balloons, 232. 2,419 reached London, killing 6,184 and injuring 17,981. Each V-1, cruising at 400 miles per hour and 2,500 feet, carried an 850-kilogram warhead, detonating with devastating force. Early anti-aircraft efforts faltered. In the campaign's first week, guns in the coastal belt downed only 17% of targets. Contact fuses requiring direct hits often missed fast-moving V-2. Gunners fired thousands of rounds for single kills, draining ammunition stocks. The constraint was clear inefficiency plagued the defense. General Frederick Pile, commanding anti-aircraft command, faced relentless pressure. V-2 sometimes arrived at 100 per day, stretching crews and equipment. Batteries initially scattered struggled to intercept targets crossing the Channel. The gunbelt repositioned to coastal free-fire zones, aimed to maximize engagement time. Yet without advanced technology, results remained poor. Shells exploded harmlessly unless perfectly aimed, a challenge against V-2 speed and low altitude. Fighters, though effective, could not cover all approaches, and balloons claimed minimal kills. London endured daily strikes, its population under siege. The war economy, critical after the Normandy landings, demanded protection. Pile's command needed a breakthrough to shift the battle's tide. By July 1944, American technology offered hope. SCR-584 radars capable of tracking targets at 32,000 yards began arriving. These sets, paired with predictors computing firing solutions, promised precision. More transformative were VT proximity fuses, radio-triggered devices detonating shells within several tens of feet of a target. Unlike contact fuses, VT fuses turned near misses into lethal bursts. Their integration into the gunbelt, starting in June, marked a tactical pivot. Early adopters saw kill rates climb from 17% in the first week to 24%, then 46% by mid-campaign. By 23 August, batteries achieved 60%, and in the final week, 74%. The 82% peak on one day in the last week of August loomed as a culmination. Ammunition efficiency improved dramatically. Early in the campaign, batteries expended thousands of rounds per V-1, kill a ruinous rate. With VT fuses, this dropped to approximately 100 rounds per kill on average. Top batteries fully equipped reported one V-1 downed for every 40 rounds. The coastal belt's transformation relied on these tools, but their rollout required coordination. British crews trained on SCR-584 systems under American guidance, adapting to new rhythms. predictors linked to radars calculated V-1 trajectories in seconds, feeding data to guns. VT fuses rugged enough to survive 20,000 G-forces at launch, ensured reliable bursts. German launch crews operating from Pas-de-Calais noticed their V-2 vanishing in coastal fire, unaware of the radio fuse threat. The campaign's stakes extended beyond numbers. London's survival as a political and economic hub hung in balance during the post-Overlord phase. Each V-1 that reached the city eroded public resolve and strained resources. Defenders, knowing thousands of lives depended on their success, faced a relentless enemy. The gun belt's early failures underscored the challenge technology, not willpower, would decide the outcome. As July turned to August, the influx of SCR-584 radars and VT fuses reshaped the battle. General Pile's post-war reflections would credit the fuse for turning desperation into dominance. For now, the gun belt's rising kill rates hinted at a turning point, one that would redefine the V-1's terror. The gun belt's rising kill rates hinted at a turning point, one that would redefine the V-1's terror. The American VT proximity fuse, a radio-based device, revolutionized anti-aircraft warfare. Unlike contact fuses demanding direct hits or mechanical time fuses prone to error, the VT triggered explosions within several tens of feet of a target, shredding V-2, cruising at 400 miles per hour. Its miniaturized radio transmitter and receiver detected proximity, detonating the shell for maximum lethality. Paired with the SCR-584 radar tracking targets at 32,000 yards and electronic predictors computing firing solutions, the system transformed coastal defenses. This trio, fuse, radar, predictor, turned the gun belt into a precision instrument, shifting the campaign's balance by late August 1944. Deployment began in June 1944 as V-2 swarmed Britain. The gun belt, repositioned to coastal free-fire zones, offered clear engagement windows. SCR-584 radars operated by trained crews locked onto V-2 at ranges far beyond earlier sets. Predictors processing radar data calculated trajectories in seconds, adjusting for the V-1's 2,500-foot altitude and speed. VT fuses, engineered to survive 20,000 G-forces at gun launch, ensured bursts near targets. Early results showed steady gains. The first week's 17% kill rate rose to 24%, then 46% by mid-campaign. By 23 August, batteries hit 60%. The final week averaged 74%, peaking at 82% on one day in the last week of August. German technical teams analyzing wreckage found no counter to the unseen radio trigger. Ammunition efficiency marked the leap. Early in the campaign, batteries fired thousands of rounds per V-1 kill, a costly inefficiency. With VT fuses, this fell to 100 rounds per kill on average. Elite batteries, fully equipped, achieved 1 V-1 for every 40 rounds, a metric General Frederick Pile later highlighted. The fuse's reliability was critical. Each shell, launched at 3,000 feet per second, needed to function flawlessly. American engineers, led by Merle Tuvey's Section T, designed fuses with rugged electronics mass-produced for combat. British crews, trained under secrecy, integrated the systems swiftly. Coastal guns, once outmatched, now tore through V-1 formations, their bursts lighting dawn skies. The technology's edge lay in coordination. SCR-584 radars fed precise data to predictors which set gun angles in real time. VT fuses, unlike earlier models, did not rely on exact timing or impact. A single shell bursting within several tens of feet could destroy a V-1's airframe, halting its 850-kilogram warhead. This synergy allowed defenders to engage multiple targets rapidly, critical when V-2 arrived at 100 daily. German launch crews operating from Pas-de-Calais saw their weapons vanish in coastal fire, unaware of the VT's role. Their intelligence probing for answers met a wall of Allied secrecy. The gun belt's success reshaped perceptions. London, battered by 2,419 V-1 strikes, gained reprieve as kill rates climbed. The campaign's early weeks, with 17% kills, exposed defensive limits. By August, the 60% and 74% weekly averages showed mastery. The 82% peak on one day in the last week of August achieved with 100 rounds per kill, stunned observers. Crews watched V-1s disintegrate their confidence, mirroring the technology's precision. The system's limits, radar maintenance, crew fatigue were offset by its impact. Batteries once firing blindly now dictated engagements. This technical leap was no accident. American industry mobilized under secrecy, delivered fuses and radars at scale. British-American coordination ensured timely deployment, aligning with the gun belt's coastal shift. The result was a defensive wall that V-1s could not breach consistently. General Pile's command, leveraging these tools, turned desperation into dominance. The campaign's momentum, once Germany's, now favored the Allies. Coastal skies, once paths for terror, became killing grounds for pilotless aircraft, each burst a testament to engineering's triumph. Coastal skies, once paths for terror, became killing grounds for pilotless aircraft, each burst a testament to engineering's triumph. Anti-aircraft crews stationed along England's southeast coast adapted to a new rhythm by August 1944. SCR 584. Radars tracked V-1s at 32,000 yards, their screens glowing, with targets moving at 400 miles per hour. Predictors, humming with calculations, set gun angles in seconds, while VT proximity fuses detonated shells within several tens of feet of the enemy. Crews, often enduring 12-hour shifts, loaded and fired with precision, watching kill rates climb from 17% in June to 74% by late August. The peak 82% on one day in the last week of August reflected their mastery. V-1 airframes shattered before they reached millions of residents. General Frederick Pile, leading anti-aircraft command, oversaw this turnaround. His post-war writings credited VT fuses for consistent kills, noting top batteries downed 1 V-1 per 40 rounds. Pile's strategy, repositioning guns to coastal free-fire zones, maximized engagement time, but technology drove success. Crews trained under secrecy integrated American systems swiftly. Radars and predictors demanded constant attention. Gunners learned to trust their data, firing at unseen targets 2,500 feet above. Each explosion boosted morale as V-1s, once unstoppable, fell in coastal fire. German launch teams in Pas-de-Calais, unaware of the radio fuse threat, cursed the unseen force destroying their weapons. Across the Atlantic, Merle Tuve's Section T, a U.S. scientific team engineered the VT fuse under intense pressure. Their challenge: create a radio device small enough for a shell, rugged enough for 20,000 G-forces, and reliable in combat. Working with over 100 American firms, they pioneered printed circuits, laying groundwork for modern electronics. The fuse's success, detonating within several tens of feet of a V-1, stemmed from this crash program, shrouded in secrecy to prevent German capture. Production scaled to 22 million units by 1945, a feat of industrial coordination. Tuve's team, laboring in laboratories, never saw the coastal gunbelt, yet their work saved thousands of lives. British-American collaboration ensured the technology's battlefield impact. Training programs launched in June 1944 prepared crews for SCR 584 and VT systems. American advisors embedded with Pile's command bridged technical gaps. Coastal batteries, once reliant on contact fuses, adopted proximity bursts, transforming near misses into kills. Contemporary accounts estimated thousands of Londoners spared as kill rates hit 60% in July, then 74% in August. The human toll: 6,184 dead, 17,981 injured, drove urgency. Crews, scientists, and commanders shared a singular goal: stop the V-1's terror. The gunbelt's rhythm track, compute, fire, destroy became second nature. Gunners, often young and sleep-deprived, found purpose in each downed V-1. Radars, manned in damp bunkers, fed data to predictors which clicked and whirred before signaling guns. VT fuses, loaded by hand, carried the weight of innovation. Pile's leadership unified these efforts, his calm directives steadying crews under pressure. The campaign's early failures, with 17% kills, faded as batteries achieved 40 rounds per V-1. London's skies, once scarred by explosions, grew quieter. The human element, grit, ingenuity, coordination, turned technical promise into battlefield dominance, setting the stage for the V-1's collapse. London's skies, once scarred by explosions, grew quieter as the V-1 campaign faltered. The VT proximity fuse program, a triumph of American industry, scaled to produce 22 million units by 1945. Costing $1 billion 1940s, the effort drove unit prices down to $18 through mass production. Over 100 companies, supported by thousands of sub-suppliers, pioneered printed circuit technology reshaping electronics manufacturing. Secrecy was paramount. Fuses were used over water to prevent German capture with strict handling protocols. This industrial feat, paired with tactical deployment, turned the coastal gun belt into a V-1 killing zone, achieving 82% kills on one day, in the last week of August, 1944. Tactical impact extended beyond Britain. In Antwerp, anti-aircraft units equipped with VT fuses suppressed V-1s 2nd, threatening the port's vital supply lines. Batteries there mirrored the gun belt's success, downing targets on the order of 100 rounds per kill once VT was in service, a far cry from early campaign figures of 2,500 rounds. The fuse's radio trigger detonating within several tens of feet of a V-1 made proximity bursts routine, not chance. Post-war analyses hailed this shift, noting the VT transformed anti-aircraft warfare. German intelligence dissecting V-1 wreckage never unraveled the radio proximity mechanism, leaving their launch crews in Pas-de-Calais baffled by consistent losses. The gun belt's efficiency underscored the program's value. Early in the campaign, batteries burned through thousands of rounds for single kills, straining logistics. By August, VT fuses reduced this to 100 rounds per kill, with top batteries achieving 40 rounds. This cost exchange shift, coupled with SCR-584 radars tracking at 32,000 yards, flipped the defensive equation. General Frederick Pile's command leveraged these tools to protect millions of residents and war economy during the post-Overlord phase. The campaign's human toll, 6,184 dead, 17,981 injured, highlighted the stakes. Each V-1 stopped spared lives and infrastructure. Secrecy cloaked the fuse's development and use. The program among the war's most guarded, restricted VT deployment to Allied-controlled areas, minimizing capture risk. American firms, coordinated by Merle Tuvey's Section T, operated under rigid security with workers unaware of the fuse's full purpose. British crews trained in June 1944 handled fuses with care, ensuring none fell into enemy hands. This discipline preserved the technological edge, as German counterintelligence failed to field a tactical response. The V-1's early shock, with 2,419 reaching London, faded as defences matured. The industrial scale amplified battlefield outcomes. Producing 22 million fuses required mobilizing an ecosystem of suppliers, from electronics to explosives. The $18 unit cost achieved through streamlined manufacturing contrasted with the V-1's higher production and launch expenses. This economic advantage, paired with tactical efficiency, eroded Germany's ability to sustain the campaign. By September 1944, Allied advances overran Pas-de-Calais launch sites, but the gun belt's performance, peaking at 82% kills on one day in the last week of August, had already broken the Prosa V-1's momentum. Coastal batteries, once outmatched, now dominated their bursts, a testament to industrial and scientific synergy. The VT fuse's legacy began to take shape. Its success against V-1s 2nd, mirrored in Antwerp, hinted at broader applications. The program's ability to deliver advanced electronics at scale set a precedent for future conflicts. For now, the gun belt's relentless fire, guided by radars and fuses, signaled the V-1's decline. London spared further. Devastation stood resilient, its defenders wielding a weapon Germany could neither match nor understand. London spared, further devastation stood resilient, its defenders wielding a weapon Germany could neither match nor understand. By late August 1944, the V-1 campaign's terror dissolved under the coastal gun belt's relentless fire. VT proximity fuses, paired with SCR 584 radars tracking at 32,000 yards reached peak effectiveness. On one day in the last week of August, batteries achieved an 82% kill rate, downing V-1s second at 100 rounds per kill. This marked the campaign's inflection point, shattering the V-1s' early dominance. German technical services sifting through wreckage in Pas-de-Calais found no trace of the radio proximity trigger. Launch crews watching their V-1s second vanish in coastal bursts cursed an unseen enemy blind to the VT's role. Early inefficiencies, 2,500 rounds per V-1 kill, became a memory. VT fuses, detonating within several tens of feet, turned near misses into lethal hits. Top batteries honed by training downed targets with 40 rounds a metric, General Frederick Pile later praised. The defender's cost-exchange ratio flipped decisively. Ammunition efficiency, once a liability, became a strength. Coastal guns, firing shells at 3,000 feet per second, shredded V-1s second cruising at 400 miles per hour. The campaign's human toll, 6,184, dead 17,981 injured, underscored the stakes. Each kill spared London's war economy and morale during the post-Overlord phase. Allied advances compounded Germany's woes. By early September 1944, ground forces overran Pas-de-Calais launch sites, halting land-based V-1 attacks. Later, air-launched V-1s, second fewer and less effective, failed to restore the terror. The gun belt's performance, peaking at 82%, had already shifted the battle's terms. Batteries, once struggling at 17% kills in June, now dominated with radar-guided precision. Predictors computing trajectories in seconds fed data to guns, while VT fuses ensured proximity bursts. This synergy overwhelmed the V-1's crude design. German counterintelligence, desperate for answers, hit a wall. The VT fuse's secrecy, enforced by strict Allied protocols, prevented capture. Use over water and careful handling ensured no intact fuse reached enemy hands. Germany's inability to counter the radio trigger left launch crews exposed their V-1s second, falling predictably. The campaign's early weeks, when 2,419 V-1s second struck London, faded as defensive mastery grew. Kill rates 24%, 46%, 60%, then 74%. By late August, traced a curve of dominance. The 82% peak was no fluke, but the culmination of technology and training. The V-1's myth of invincibility collapsed. Once a spectre over London, it became a manageable target, its 850-kilogram warheads neutralized before impact. Coastal skies, once corridors of dread, roared with defensive fire, each burst a signal of Germany's failure. General Pile's command, leveraging American innovation, turned desperation into a rout. Batteries firing in unison dictated the battle's rhythm, their success measured in lives saved and infrastructure preserved. The campaign's land phase ended not with a whimper, but with the gunbelt's resounding triumph, a testament to engineering's decisive edge. The campaign's land phase ended with the gunbelt's resounding triumph, a testament to engineering's decisive edge. By early September 1944, the V-1 threat to London was largely contained. Coastal batteries wielding VT proximity fuses and SCR-584 radars claimed 1,878 kills, far surpassing early expectations. The campaign's pinnacle, 82% downed on one day in the last week of August, showcased defensive mastery. Shells detonating within several tens of feet required 100 rounds per kill, with elite batteries achieving 40 rounds. This efficiency, coupled with radar tracking at 32,000 yards, protected millions of residents and war economy during the critical post-Overlord months. The V-1's toll, 6,184, dead 17,981 injured, would have been far higher without this technological leap. The VT fuse's impact extended beyond the V-1 fight. In December 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge, proximity fuses proved devastating in ground-burst roles, shredding enemy formations. By 1945, 22 million fuses produced at $18 each became standard in anti-aircraft and artillery roles. This scalability, costing $1 billion 1940s dollars, set a benchmark for science-driven mobilization. Over 100 American firms, coordinated by Merle Tuve's Section T, pioneered printed circuit manufacturing, influencing post-war electronics. The Fuzes' secrecy maintained through strict handling ensured Germany never countered its radio trigger, preserving the Allied edge. Strategically, the gun belt's success safeguarded London's role as a political and economic hub. The V-1 campaign launching 10,492 weapons aimed to disrupt Britain's war effort. Defenders tracking 7,500 neutralized most before impact. Fighters claimed 1,847 balloons, 232, but guns with VT fuses drove the decisive share. General Frederick Pile's post-war reflections credited the fuse for saving thousands, noting its role in achieving 1 per 40 rounds. This defensive triumph allowed Britain to focus resources on the European offensive, bolstering Allied momentum. The industrial lesson was profound. The VT program demonstrated that coordinated science and industry could deliver advanced electronics at scale, shifting battlefield outcomes. Producing 22 million fuses required thousands of sub-suppliers, each under secrecy protocols. The $18 unit cost achieved through mass production contrasted with the V-1's higher expense, tilting the economic balance. This model, rapid innovation, rigorous secrecy, and industrial might, became a template for future conflicts. The gun belt's performance, peaking at 82% kills on one day in the last week of August, underscored technology's ability to redefine warfare. As coastal guns fell silent, their legacy endured. VT fuses, initially a V-1 countermeasure, reshaped anti-aircraft and artillery tactics, saving countless lives. Antwerp's defences, mirroring London's, showed the fuse's versatility. The campaign's early struggles, 17% kills in June, faded against the 74% weekly average by August. London, once under siege, stood resilient, its skies cleared by engineering and resolve. The V-1, a fleeting terror, left a lasting truth. Technology wielded with precision could turn the tide. General Pile's batteries, firing their final rounds, cemented a victory not just over Von second but over the limits of their era.